A petition to the PAC chair wants Murkomen, his law firm, and the DP's aide Farouk Kibet summoned to answer to allegations of their alleged involvement in the 1.67 billion shillings NYS scandal. In the letter to the PAC chair, Mbadi is opposed to the trio sending written submissions to the committee.
He has on numerous occasions called Waiguru a thief, and I think is of interest to us as a committee, and we should not bury our hands in the sand and assume that what he's saying out there would not be of interest to not only us but the people of Kenya. If he truly knows that Waiguru is a thief, then we want him to come before us and tell us more that he knows.
Mbadi also has his guns trailed on the DP's personal aide Farouk Kibet.
Ben Geddi's conversations with other people who are in government, including Farouk Kibet.
Mbadi argues Kibet should explain whether he was acting on his own volition or he was under instructions.
She indicated that Ben Geddi was involved in that, but beyond that, she indirectly implicated Farouk Kibet and by extension other people, because she talked of serious senior people. And in terms of Waiguru and her position then, Farouk Kibet cannot be the senior person. So we would like to get to understand who are these senior people.
The Suba MP wants Murkomen and his law firm, Singoe, Murkomen and Sigei Advocates, to appear before the PAC to explain the 15 million shillings paid to the law firm by out-of-the-box communications. Murkomen has denied the payment was linked to NYS and accused Waiguru of peddling lies.
That highly pressed government operatives have been implicated in the NYS scandal is not in doubt. But to debunk this theory or otherwise, the Suba MP now wants Deputy President close associates summoned before Parliament to shed light on what they know about the NYS dealings. Sam Ogina, Citizen TV, Parliament.
Sam Ogina with quite some powerful insight there. Senator Boni Halwale, why can't we have these two gentlemen appear before the Parliamentary Accounts Committee? The chairman actually said, the chairman Mr. Gumbo actually said they may not be invited. Why is that? Are we seeing politics rearing its head in the fight against corruption?
Engineer Gumbo is starting to cast aspersions against himself. He has no excuse. The Constitution is very clear in 125 that he has the power to summon anybody at any time and call for any document for purposes of getting to the bottom of the NYS.
This is regardless of the standing orders.
Yes.
Because the standing orders say, like Senator Elachi was telling us, there has to be a motion in Senate and National Assembly to invite a sitting member of Parliament.
I am telling you, 125 not only says that he can summon Kibet, Farouk and Murkomen, it even goes further and gives his committee the power of the High Court. Which means when he has the power of the High Court, he can use other institutions to compel Murkomen and Farouk to come before them. And should they fail, he will use the same powers of the High Court to punish them. So he should stop casting aspersions against himself and ensure that Murkomen, whose only excuse given by Gumbo that he cannot appear before them and that he should write to them is that he is a member of Parliament. It is on record that when Honorable Kimunya was a member of Parliament, he appeared not once, not twice, but many times before us until...
In his capacity as minister then?
Yes, but then he was a sitting member of Parliament. So he should not take that route. We want Murkomen and Kibet to come before this committee. And by the way, when I saw Senator Murkomen and Professor Kindiki and others in their earlier days in the Senate, form a team called the Sky Team.
Allegedly.
No, we saw it with our own eyes, where they could go out with choppers and donate millions of shillings at Harambes. I knew that money had to come from somewhere. The salary that Murkomen gets is the same as the one that Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. gets. Murkomen's farm is a far much junior farm than that one of Mutula Kilonzo Jr.
But be that as it may, you remember Senator Kipchumba Murkomen has actually written and asked to be invited to this committee, and whatever you're saying about what did you call it, the flying squad or something?
The
Sky team. Those are all allegations. We
not allegations.
From where I sit, I don't have those facts unless you
No,
provide
I have
them.
to defend it because I was part of it.
Oh, you were part of it?
And I want to tell him,
I will.
for sure and clear, he has, for bringing in Sky Team in all this madness, is that's very wrong.
Was there a Sky team?
Well, they used to call it a Sky Team. It
What
was not
was
a
it?
Sky Team.
What was it called?
It was a team,
Yes.
and for us was to go around the country
Yes.
and just popularize the government.
On
That does not
in
mean
choppers.
And because the
we
country was
used our own money,
Which
by the
money?
way. So don't say
the
which
more
money.
Beatrice, you cannot purport to have 1 million to donate every weekend.
Well,
How will
it
you do
means you
it?
don't have
don't
friends.
have.
just a minute.
You don't have friends?
Just a minute.
It means
Just
you
a
don't
minute.
have
friends
friends.
who are
The
Waiguru.
telephone
All right, we'll
Your
get
friends who are Waiguru, those are the kind
how
of
well
friends
do you know?
Excuse me, I have never gotten a penny from Waiguru.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to have some order here. Senator, you're making allegations.
Yeah, my
that I don't.
senator here,
All right, just a minute.
it should be
just a
very
minute,
clear as
Just
a
a minute.
senior member of parliament.
Just a
and he
minute.
knows
Just a
that.
minute, please. Senator,
He
you're
has to
making very
behave.
serious allegations.
Yes.
I personally, where I sit and as a station, we do not have proof to that effect, and so I will
He
brand
has
them
to
as
withdraw.
allegations. Luckily, we have somebody
He has to
who
withdraw.
belongs to that team,
Yes,
and
and
to
I
give
want
us
to tell
more.
Kenyans now how we did
But
it.
at this point in
In a
time,
genuine way.
at this point in time, Senator Wamatangi, you started the issue of politics and the fight against corruption. What are we seeing here? Are we actually seeing it in the studio?
Two quick ones, very quick ones. The first one, and I don't intend to speak for anyone, but you have correctly said that Kipchumba Murkomen said on live on TV, on air, that he is ready to go. And
He actually wrote a letter.
and he is ready to go and defend his name and give any evidence that's required of him. Period. And so, if he's not, he's made a clear statement. So if he's invited, he's ready to go. So why don't we wait for him to go and say what he has to say? That's as much as I would want to say about that, because it's an open shut issue.
The genesis of this heated discussion is what you said earlier,
and
politics and the fight against
and that's why I'm going. That's why I'm going. Because you see, my friend, and this we have to say to Kenyans openly, because, and I said it when I was starting, I have a big problem when those who purport to be the biggest crusaders against corruption are politicians, because politicians are known from time immemorial, most of them, and I hope that we can. I've been hope. You know, when I came to politics, let me say this very quickly. I was from the world I came from, of helping poor people, and that's how, you know, that's why I'm called Wamatangi. I thought that we can come and change this thing, you know, and I would come and play a part, tweak it so that it can become a game of honesty, you know. But you know, it's like
4 years down the line,
it's like throwing a stone in an ocean of turmoil and murder. But this is my point. You know, have you ever gone to the streets and you've seen these fellows who come and snatch your purse or your
run
bargain,
away.
and you know, once he snatches your bargain, here, then quickly starts shouting and pointing to other people, and then you start running in all other directions.
So that's what politicians are doing.
The Wheezy is standing right there, and this is the problem with politics. So when you hear people talking about the scandals in NOS, whatever.
Just hold it briefly. We seem to have lost your microphone. We'll get back to you.
But I want to go back to my senator.
I'll go back to Senator
And
Wamatangi
you know, I
in a short while.
respect him because he has taught me a lot, and I have learned a lot.
Were you going across the country flying
Whether flying or driving
or crawling?
or crawling, that does not mean, and I want to repeat to Kenyans today, and I know my senator has rattled me, because I have never, and I want the president to know, I have never gone to any ministry in this country, and the ministers can come out and tell you to ask for any money, be it money for Harambee. I get from friends who I have worked with governments, not just this one.
Disclose their names.
I don't need to disclose businessmen of our country.
I think at this point in time, she's not being
and I'm not
investigated
under
here.
any investigation.
Yes.
But I just want to tell my senator, I have never used any proceeds of NYS, even if I was the one who thought the idea was very good to change NYS to support our young
So that is your individual position.
Even my family, be it my father, my mother, done business with NYS.
Would you
so
be,
I want my senator,
Uh-huh.
first of all, to appreciate we have politicians, new politicians who came in the game. We really wanted to change the landscape of our country.
Senator, would you be knowing if some members of this team with which you are moving around went to these offices and...
Well, now, since Murkomen came in as a lawyer of Gezi, I don't want to blame a lawyer who stood in of one of the accused.
That is professional.
That's professional. So, and,
Senator
and,
Mutula would have
and,
done the same, wouldn't you?
And there were 6 lawyers.
I'm not a debt
I don't know why. There were 6 lawyers who have stood for Gezi. I don't know why they only picked on Murkomen. I would wish all the lawyers who stood in for him are called to the committee. So each of them will say, what was I doing? And this is why I was paid this money. And for heaven's sake, even he's a senior lawyer than even Murkomen. He will tell me, it depends on how you agree on your figures. I don't think that there is a law that says now figure.
It has to be
or
different.
else if there is that, then we need to understand. So the more senior that is, that why they stand in a minute and they are paid 100,000 or what?
I haven't said that.
Just a minute. Let's give a chance to
let me
the council. He's not said anything about politics. And
let me say this about the standing orders vis-a-vis the Constitution. The standing orders emanate from the Constitution. They are subsidiary to the Constitution, and therefore Senator Halwale is right. Now, there's something we call speaking from both sides of the mouth.
The pendulum, as Adendwale said.
Senator Boni Halwale and I are on record when we sat in the Finance Committee to object to this money that was being given to NYS.
Yes.
At that time. 26 billion shillings.
I also objected.
And a lot of the Jubilee senators criticized us for, attacking Anne Waiguru, a noble cause. When the scandal broke, a lot of them ganged up and said this was, the usual thing. Now, I fear for my colleague, Senator Murkomen, because he's opening up a Pandora's box in terms of what were his instructions from his client, insofar as he walked into, there's practice of, as a lawyer, when I write a letter, I don't need to follow the letter physically. If I write a demand, I don't go to the debt collector and collect it physically myself. I would instruct a debt collector. That's what you do if you are doing debt collection. So therefore, his role as a lawyer, his role as a politician, his role in defending Waiguru is going to come into play. And there's going to be much more politics than the issues that are going to come out of it. So this is a dangerous...
Much more politics. Senator Matani, sorry we cut you short.
Yes.
I'm happy you're back now and our viewers can hear what you articulate.
Thank you. Thank you. And I hope you didn't lose me before I made my most important...
No, you had made
on the doublespeak by politicians, and I've been consistent on this one because remember the last 4 months, and I'm one of those who stand very firmly to say that we have to bring an end to this corruption thing, because if there is anything that makes our people suffer more, the poorest, even as we give them tax relief, it is corruption. Corruption is worse than that, and I raised this a lot of times when especially you saw some of the leaders in CORD starting the big drumbeat about that scandal there, this scandal there, pretending as though there is Hoyt's snow. And if there is any one arm of government, and I'm saying government meaning because these gentlemen you are seeing here in the new dispensation are also in government. Mutula, by virtue of the Constitution, what the Constitution says, and so when you see the guys who lead CORD and look at their histories from the first time they were elected and given positions to lead this country cumulatively to today, and then you explore and ask yourself what do you see behind them, because if you want to know the truth of a man's content, look at his history. What history do you see in all these guys that would say that they have any right to stand on any high moral ground and say that we are talking about this?
So who then is going to champion the fight against corruption? We seem to be all tainted.
I'll tell you very, very clearly. Anybody else can. The clergy can, the members of the public, we the people, and everyone else. But the least to stand behind in the lines should be politicians.
Should be politics or politicians?
Should be politicians.
Because they do the business also.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Coming from the horse's mouth, these are politicians.
They
and
run
saying
the business.
they should be last in line.
They should be last
in the fight against corruption.
What we should do? Let me
Senator, because
let me
time
just
is
make,
not on our side. I want to give you 1 minute each of you so that we wind up. And as we do that, let us look at Countdown 2017. We are seeing political rallies across the country. The president is going to Kibabii today. It's a national function, but I'm sure there'll be political connotations given that Mheshimiwa Raila will also be in Kakamega. 1 minute each of you as we wind up.
Well, I mean, everybody has the right to travel anywhere, and they can go whatever they want to go.
Politics or no politics?
Politics under the sea, provided it's in Kenya. You are allowed to go anywhere. And we must encourage politicians to go across. We want to see called politicians in Jubilee zones and vice versa. Let us try and convince people that you know, we are all leaders. Two, let me say this, and I'm glad every time I wake up early in the morning.
And I'm looking at my watch.
You've just taken 20 seconds. I'm glad that when I was elected, I took oath to defend the Constitution and not my political party or coalition, because corruption in code is corruption in code. Corruption in Jubilee is corruption in Jubilee, and I will be found on the right side of history. Because if it's a court governor, we're going to say this is a thief. If it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it is a duck, whether it's in Jubilee or court.
Thank you.
For me, I would just want to say two things. For us, going forward, first of all, I think the technocrats within what we anticipated when we were bringing in the new dispensation was we assumed that when you bring in people who are not political, things can work better and corruption will be less. But apparently you are better off even with the politicians, because number one, they fear their names, they protect their names, and they know it is the electorate that brings in. It is one thing we need to rethink as a country. Because
who do we put in charge of the fight?
Who do you put in charge of even what is happening? Because he will work knowing I'm doing it for this, because I am a politician, I understand what this other politician is crying when he says in Kakamega, I have this. But when you find these technocrats who don't care, who think because I was put in by the president and are very arrogant and pride is like everything is on top of them, we have a big problem. And that's the problem we face with them.
Very serious comment.
President Uhuru is today in Bungoma. Bungoma is a very unique place in the political journey of Uhuru, because it is in Bungoma, Mount Elgon, where President Moi announced to Kenyans for the first time that Uhuru was material for president. He should use this opportunity today to speak to the scandal in the Ministry of Health, now that it has touched on his sister Nyokabi and has touched on his Chief of Staff Joseph Kinyua. Tomorrow Raila Odinga will be in Masinde Muliro multipurpose hall to speak to delegates of ODM. Thank you very much, Prime Minister. You've broken the silence on Kingi. We hope that you are also going to break your silence on the collapse of Uhungu Stadium and the breaking into the procurement office, where computers holding all the files on the procurement in Kakamega have disappeared.
Thank you very much.
It's only after that, Mr. Prime Minister, that some of us then will react to what you said in Kilifi and then what you will have said tomorrow.
Well said. Senator Wamatangi, you have the chance to finish it.
You know, as I've said, when I look at the future of this country, where we are going, and in the fight against corruption, I want to say to Kenyans that I'm hopeful, very hopeful, because we have a good opportunity. I see beyond, over the horizon, that as we face out this group of politicians who have dug themselves deep and rotten in the leadership of this country and taken us to where we are, we have a golden opportunity, because the sun is rising and this whole generation now is going out. I hope that when we get the opportunity, I'm talking about generally the generation that is now coming to take the leadership of this country, that we can look back and act decisively and make sure that this becomes a thing of the past. That history can go away with the bad memories of corruption in this country.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry we couldn't go further than this. Your articulated points are very important, and nobody would do not wish to have such a vibrant panel. I really want to appreciate you for your insightfulness.
And I salute my governor for inciting a bit.
And intelligence. But I want us to cool this down. I want us to cool this down with some music. Viewers, that was the news review. Okay, guys, it's my chance. It's my chance. I will ask for the French host after the music. Thank you very much. Let's have the band.
Do your song.